Hello, and welcome to yet another Keith Spoon video. And today it's another ranking. And today we're ranking something dear to my heart: the USSR leaders. Now, I made this one whole by myself without any help, which was a bad decision. This took me maybe 8 hours to find stuff for, and it's probably not gonna have been worth it. Um, but hey ho. I studied the Soviet Union, so I knew some of these things going in. And as with my normal rankings, I'm not going through every policy of each leader. I'm just going through some of the funny stuff and the stuff that's a bit out there. Without any further ado, let's get into ranking the leaders of the Soviet Union. Coming in at number 8, Malenkov. Now, Malenkov was only the leader for 186 days. That's not long. That's really short. He had been Stalin's favorite because he was after Stalin before Khrushchev. He was Stalin's favorite, and he became involved in many of his purges of political opponents, which is bad. And in 1957, he attempted a coup against Khrushchev, which makes him even fucking worse. When Khrushchev became leader, he was sent to Kazakhstan and became the manager of an industrial plant. He became a member of the Russian Orthodox Church after being sent away and retiring from leadership. He was also the leader, and he received reports of a hydrogen bomb. Basically, if it sounds like he didn't do a lot, it's because he didn't. He was the interim between Stalin and Khrushchev. He was there for a cup of coffee. His character is well portrayed in The Death of Stalin. Coming in at number 7, Chernenko. Now, Chernenko died in office, but he did become leader at 72, which is it's too old. Chernenko signed preliminary documents stating that on the 9th of May 1985, on the day of the 40th Victory Day parade, the city of Volgograd would be renamed Stalingrad. A fun fact about Chernenko is that he started smoking at aged 9. Historian John Lewis Gaddis described him as an enfeebled geriatric so zombie-like as to be beyond assessing intelligence reports alarming or not. After his death, Reagan is reported to have remarked, "How am I supposed to get any place with these Russians if they keep dying on me?" This is due to the fact that Chernenko was the second leader in like 5 years. Probably even more. His on screen, I've done the maths. So he wasn't best pleased, Mr. Ronald. When Gorbachev had Chernenko's safe open, as it was common practice to have the safes opened by the following leader, it was found to contain several small folders of personal papers and several large bundles of money. More money was then found in his desk. It's not known where he obtained the money or what he intended to use it for. He officially had two wives, but in 2015, archival documents were published according to which Chernenko had many more wives and many more children with them. And he was basically the interim for Gorbachev and did nothing major except kick it. Coming in at number 6, Andropov. Now, Andropov became leader at 68 and died at 69. He was only leader for 15 months. He was the chairman of the KGB. He convinced the leader at the time, Nikita Khrushchev, that military intervention was necessary in Hungary, and he was known as the Butcher of Budapest for his ruthless suppression of the uprising. In 1970, out of concern that the burial place of Joseph and Magda Goebbels and their children would become a shrine to neo-Nazis, Andropov authorized an operation to destroy the remains that were buried in Magdeburg in 1946. Andropov also gave an order to prevent unauthorized gatherings mourning John Lennon. Imagine that. He also deemed the house that Nicholas II, the last and final Tsar, was killed in to be not sufficiently or historically significant, so had it destroyed. Reagan, back with him, he had the evil empire speech during the leadership of Andropov. And SDI was during Andropov's leave, which it's probably, possibly, eventually its own video, just because it's mental. He was also leader when that Korean airliner was shot down. Andropov A couple positive, well, a positive here. Well, not even a positive, just a fun fact. He would read about 600 pages a day. That's lots. He did some things, you know, that had some impact on the USSR, but nothing major. And those three were the three. They're the getting your bonus points in the pub round. Honestly, if I hadn't done, I out of these, I would have said Georgie Malenkov wasn't leader, and I would never have guessed the other two. Now we've got the big boys, the ones you're here for, the ones with staying power coming in. At number 5, we have Gorbachev. Now, Gorbachev, he ended the USSR. Need I say more? But I also a positive to an extent. I remember when he died. Like me and my friend, we were like, "What the fuck?" I just assumed he'd been dead for ages, but no, he died in 2022. I recall that, and he was the only leader of the USSR born after the creation, as he was born in 1931. He's mainly known for glasnost and perestroika, and he is a big is was because he's in the floor. He's a critic of Boris Yeltsin and the current bellend in charge, Vladimir Putin. When he got his Nobel Peace Prize, there were polls that indicated 90% of Soviet citizens disapproved of this award, which was widely seen as an anti Soviet accolade. He was leader for the reunification of Germany. Both of his grandparents were sent to the Gulag in the mid 30s. His father had fought in World War II and was wrongly confirmed dead. Now, I was meant to get rid of this one, but because I've left it in, I'm going to say it. He liked Italian food. Gorbachev liked pizza, as we know. The Iron Bitch said, I like Mr. Gorbachev. We can do business together. I don't like you, Thatcher. I'm glad you're in the ground. When Gorbachev was leader, alcohol production was reduced by 40%. Legal drinking age rose from 18 to 21. Alcohol prices were increased, and stores were banned from selling it. Before 2 p.m. That's really sad. But the funny thing is, uneducated Soviet citizens had resorted to drinking, rubbing alcohol, nail polish remover, and colognes because of the alcohol content. Evidently, more poisoning cases. Sorry, that one got to me. The stopping of child alcoholism. Anyway, Gorbachev was leader during the Chernobyl disaster. He told the Politburo that Reagan was extraordinarily primitive, troglodyte, and incredibly feeble. German Chancellor Big Old Helmut Kohl had offended Gorbachev by comparing him to the Nazi propagandist Joseph Goebbels, though he did informally apologize later on. Gorbachev struggled to understand Yeltsin's growing popularity, commenting, "He drinks like a fish." I'm pretty sure that quote's been taken out of context, but I hope it hasn't because, that's funny. When the coup that led to the end of the USSR happened, he was on holiday in Crimea. Gorbachev appeared in commercials such as this pizza ad. It's iconic. Although his wife and most of his friends urged him not to, after the fall of the USSR, he ran for president of Russia. In 2009, Gorbachev released an album called Songs for Reza, Reza being the name of his wife, an album of Russian romantic ballads sung by him and accompanied by musician Andrei Marakevich. By 1955, Gorbachev's hair was thinning, and by 1960s, he was bald. He drank sparingly and didn't smoke. In 2002, this is the maddest fact, in 2002, Mikhail Gorbachev received the freedom of the city of Dublin from the Dublin City Council. And finally, in 2004, Gorbachev, alongside Bill Clinton, won a Grammy for the Best Spoken Word Album for Children. Gorbachev is one of the most important people in Russian history, but as a Soviet leader and using my arbitrary ranking, he comes in at 5th. Coming in at number 4, Brezhnev. The man, the myth, the eyebrows. Brezhnev's first job was at a butter factory Brezhnev stole leadership from Khrushchev, which makes him bad. Under Brezhnev's rule, the Prague Spring occurred, and so did the invasion of Afghanistan. Brezhnev's also well known for the Brezhnev Doctrine, which isn't well known, which is just safeguarding socialism. Brezhnev saw himself as a legend, and he was clearly massively egotistical, and he gave himself 100 medals. That's an insane figure. That's so many medals. He had been a heavy smoker until the 1970s and had become addicted to sleeping pills and tranquilizers. Began drinking in excess. So basically, he was a smoker, and then he was an emo rapper, and then he was a fucking uni chav, and then he became a legend. Brezhnev had gout. That's rough. Famously a kisser with this on the Berlin Wall. Now, this is a long one, but it's kind of worth it. When visiting the United States for a summit with Nixon in 1973, he expressed a wish to drive around Washington in a Lincoln Continental, this car, that Nixon had just given him. Upon being told that the Secret Service would not allow him to do this, he said, "I will take the flag off my car, put on dark glasses so they can't see my eyebrows, and drive like any American would." To which Henry Kissinger, notable prick, replied, "I have driven with you, and I don't think you drive like an American." That's funny. The best part of all of that is the expressed realization and acknowledgement that the eyebrows would give it away more than the eyes. And among some of his foreign honours, to finish off the Brezhnev part of this video, he, he has the Bangladesh Liberation War honour and the Hero of the Mongolian People's Republic. That was number 4. Brezhnev. Now coming in at number 3, controversially low, some could say, but it's an arbitrary list, which in my opinions, no one helped with this, so I can't even blame it if you have issues. If you have issues with the rankings, the issues are with Keith Spoon. Number 3, Joseph Stalin. Now hold your horses, lads. I explain why he's low. Don't. I see you in the comments going, "Emma fucking God," but no, mate. Chill out. I'm saying this as if more than the people that know this video is coming out today, because I've told them weeks in advance, are going to watch this. No one will, but, Stalin number 3. Stalin had smallpox as a child, which left him with lasting scars and a deformity. And Stalin, in my opinion, the reason he's the bastard's bastard. Fun fact, I mean, all of these are fun fact, but a fun fact is Johnny Cash was one of the first Americans to find out about Stalin's death, as he worked in some form of the military, I can't remember, and he was decoding Russian intel, and he was one of the first people to decode that Stalin had been killed. Ring of fire. Stalin also killed all his doctors, which is bad. When he was younger, he wanted to be a priest. In 1899, Stalin briefly worked as a meteorologist at an observatory in Georgia. Vlad the Lad, Lenin, twice asked Stalin to produce poison so he could kill himself, but Stalin wouldn't, the bitch. Lenin told his sister that Stalin was not intelligent. And famously, but I'm going to read it out, Lenin's testament of Stalin goes, "Stalin is too crude." No, I'm not doing a voice. "Stalin is too crude, and this defect, which is entirely acceptable in our milieu and in relationships among us as communists, become unacceptable in the position of general secretary appointment. To this job, someone else who is distinguished from Comrade Stalin in all other respects, only by single superior aspects, that he should be more tolerant, more polite, and more attentive towards comrades." That was Lenin's testament of Joseph Stalin. Stalin was a pallbearer at Lenin's funeral, and under Stalin there were many famines. Stalin recriminalized homosexuality and restrictions on abortion and divorce. After a group dinner in the Kremlin in which Stalin flirted with other women, Nadezhda Nadezhda, Nadezhda. One of them is possibly right. Anyway, I'll start that one again, keeping it in me trying to do the name. After a group dinner in the Kremlin in which Stalin flirted with other women, his wife, which had the same name as Lenin's wife, bonus fact, shot herself. Not Lenin's wife, that is. Stalin's wife. And Stalin, more bad things. He admired Adolf, big Mr. Hitler, and he liked the Night of the Long Knives. Stalin ordered Trotsky to be killed in Mexico with an adze, just this. And in 1942, Time magazine gave him Man of the Year. He was born with a webbed left foot, and his left arm had been injured in childhood, which left it shorter than its right, and lacking in flexibility. And Stalin was a long-time smoker who smoked both pipes and cigarettes. He enjoyed listening to classical music, owning over 2,700 records and over 20,000 books. This man would have loved Spotify and Kindle. Stalin was a keen and accomplished billiards player, and he loved a prank. For instance, one of his favourites, he would put a tomato on the chairs of Politburo members and wait for them to sit on it, and then chuckle at them. When at social events, he encouraged alcohol. He hoped that others would drunken and reveal secrets to him. And during his time as being alive, I don't know why I said it like that, he became a keen gardener. He didn't like French kissing and nudity, and he banned kissing in films for a while. Truman, not this Truman from the show, President Truman, called him a little squirt. Now this one is grim. In 1914, age 35, Stalin had a relationship with Lydia Perepagina. With Lydia, who was 14, who became pregnant with Stalin's child. In December 1914, Lydia gave birth to their child, although the infant died soon after. And in 1916, Lydia, now only 15, she was pregnant again. That's grim. Official records show 799,455 documented executions in the Soviet Union between 1921 and 1953. Slight fun fact here, and possible video, maybe, wink wink, shrug shrug. There is a Stalin Road in Colchester. A road named after Stalin in Colchester, Essex, England. And he was probably the best for the country, industrialization and stuff, because before him, just Lenin had just taken charge and died only a couple of years in. And it was basically just farmers, and he took it to, competing with the Americans. But he killed so many people. So I couldn't, in my arbitrary way of ranking, and there's no real rhyme or reason to the ranking, he can't go in at number 1 or number 2. He's got to come in at number 3. Which means Stalin number 3. Which means number 2. Who could it be? It's Vladimir Lenin. Again, I can hear you typing away, going, how can Lenin not be number 1? Yeah. And some of you may have worked out who number 1 is. And I'll let you know, he's goated. Number 2 is Vladimir Lenin. Now, I'm not going to get into it. Read the wiki page. War communism is really bad, guys. Lenin did that. He invented that, kinda. And it was really rough. It was really rough for the people of Russia. Lenin would also wear dresses to sneak into Russia while he had been exiled. Lenin's brother was executed in 1887 for anti-Tsarist behavior and plotting to kill the Tsar. When Lenin was 15, his father died of a brain hemorrhage, meaning Vladimir Lenin, one of the most important people in probably the history of the world, had daddy issues. That's mad to think about. Lenin disliked Paris, lambasting it as a foul hole. And while he was there, he sued a motorist who knocked him off his bike. 26 different physicians were hired to help Lenin during his final years. According to historian Nina Tamarkin, Lenin represents the world's most elaborate cult of a revolutionary leader since George Washington of the United States. And now there's not a lot here for Lenin, but that's because he was only leader for a bit, and because of secrecy, I couldn't find a lot. The member of my team who normally does this does it so much better, and leading this to be the one and only serious long form ranking video I will have found research for. But Lenin was very important, but he did so much killing, so much killing. Not as much as Stalin, but he did lots. And also, he did a thing, a form of torture to get information and grain and the like, where he would get a horsehair and insert it into a urethra. That that sounds disgraceful. That is Lenin in number two. Number one, the GOAT. One of my favorite people in history. Number one leader of the Soviet Union, the USSR, Nikita Khrushchev. Now, I studied this man. I know him well. He is the GOAT. So much so that back when I had big plans of making loads of music all the time, I found some hard images, some images that go hard, some just goated images of Nikita Khrushchev. And as you can see here, I've converted them into album covers. They're all here to see. I'll have to give you a second to appreciate them all. Now, Khrushchev loved maize, and he also didn't like Stalin, leading to all of his de-Stalinization. The thing, in my opinion, that makes Khrushchev one of the GOAT is the Khrushchevska scheme. Now, these were effectively free flats for people, and the plan was 108 million people would live in these. There were 64, in the end, 64,000 units were made, ranging from 5 to 12 stories. And in 1995, so well after his death and the fall of the Soviet Union, 60 million residents of the former Soviet Union, still lived in these buildings, just showing his, you know, longevity and his impact on the nation. Under Khrushchev, Sputnik was launched. His son was a fighter pilot who was apparently shot down and killed in action on the 11th of March 1943. However, the circumstances of this death remain obscure and controversial, as none of his fellow flyers stated they witnessed him being shot down, nor was his plane found or body discovered. This could lead to a conspiracy theory video, maybe, probably not. I'm surprised there's not that many theories about this, because it's actually very interesting, because he just vanished. Under Khrushchev, there was the Virgin Land Scheme, which is quite good. A reason why Khrushchev is so high, because you might not be getting it yet. He's a character, and he's a good one. He's not a character like Stalin, where he's just evil. Khrushchev was just a bloke who then became leader. And when Khrushchev was taken to the Manez Gallery to view an exhibit which included a number of avant-garde works, on seeing them, my boy Nikita exploded with anger in an episode called The Manja Affair. This has its own wiki page. That's how important this is. Khrushchev described the artwork, and I quote, he called it dog shit. And he proclaimed a donkey could smear better art with its tail. And he said to the artists, don't you know how to paint? My grandson will paint it better. What is this? Are you men or damn pedestals? Now I had to Google what pedestal was. It's a Greek thing where the relations were older man, younger boy. After calling them basically nonsense, he said, how can you paint like that? Do you have a conscience? He was described as being radiant with energy but not intellectual, and was dismissed by many as a buffoon who would not last long. British Foreign Secretary Harold Macmillan wondered, how can this fat, vulgar man, with his pig eyes and ceaseless flow to talk, be the head, the the aspirant czar for all those millions follow? And when over in America, he had to have talks to Nixon. Khrushchev was meant to visit Disneyland, but the visit was cancelled for security reasons, and this left him disgruntled. JFK described negotiating with Nikita to his brother Robert like dealing with dad, all give and no take. And the last one, which probably potentially not real, but I think would be a mate. During his secret speech, which was him denouncing Stalin, the Polish communist leader Bolsonaro suffered a heart attack. So that's it. That's my number one, Nikita Khrushchev. So if you skip to the end here, don't know why I have. Go back. Number 8, Malenkov. Number 7, Chinenko. Number 6, Andropov. Number 5, Gorbachev. Number 4, Brezhnev. Number 3, Stalin. Number 2, Lenin. Number 1, my sun and stars, Nikita Khrushchev. Thank you for watching. Every view means something, especially on this one, because it took so much time for me to make. I have been Keith Spoon. More videos akin to this coming, probably way better, because I wouldn't have had as much involvement in making it, like finding facts and including important facts, because my team are better, so much better. But yeah, thank you for watching. I've been Keith Spoon, and I'll see you in the next one.